event. The venue locked. Elton Place, Linwood Street, Brooklyn. He is coming. They are coming.
Hey, your grandmother selling helmet and she selling charm.
If you missed it last year, brace yourself because it's gonna be epic. Spice Mass New York launch 2024. The biggest and most exciting artist out of Grenada comes to Brooklyn for the launch of Spice Mass. It's Love Man. Boise. Worstways. Talprey. The Hitman Inspector. Brandy Isaac. Hello. Kush.
Stay and lie down and take your hand. Come outside and party.
Mr. Legs.
I somehow when I smoke I like to drink.
Mr. Golden.
It's all in here.
And for the first time in New York City, Super Flying Flint.
Welcome to this party.
And Grenada's 2023 Road Match, Temptress and Rabulous. Plus, the Greenhouse Drummers in full effect. And the tickets cost $40. Regular $50. Get them now online from GoToFact.com. In New York, get your tickets from Mike at Proper Fix Barbershop in Grid. On East 96 between Church and Wilmer. Fish, 59th East 95th Street between Rockland and East New York. West Cuisine, 916 Claxton Avenue between East 53rd and 54th Street. La Bay Market, 1127 Nostrand Avenue, 718-221-0395. Shonda at Spice Up Market, 899 Claxton Avenue, or call 718-730-4443. Spice Mass Launch New York Edition 2024. It's a jam movie in the making. Saturday, May 11th.
Of sampling the Golden Jubilee edition of the limited edition spice rum from the Grenada distillers, and I must say it's something that you should try. It is authentically Grenadian, but from the flavors to the aromas to the overall taste, the blend is great. It's light, it's golden like the Golden Jubilee, and I think you can make any collector's shelves anywhere in the world. Hats off to the Grenada distillers.
Yeah. Woo! Ride Along Live, welcome to the ride. Welcome to Tuesday on the Ride. Yeah, man. Happy Tuesday to everyone. Jillian, how you doing? As you come in, go ahead and share up the thing, guys. We have an interesting conversation for you today. Of course, as promoted, as mentioned, the Honorable Redhead is with us today. So much to discuss, so much to talk about. And of course, every time, it's an opportunity for you to interface, for you to ask your questions. If you wanna push, if you wanna talk, if you wanna say something to the minister, your opportunity is tonight. Yeah. That's what we're talking about. Susan, how you doing? Everybody share. Hey, Terry Moses, how you doing? Good day to you. Everybody share. Come in quickly, guys. Share up the thing. And as you know, when Facebook have a time, he does do what he wants to do with us. Sometimes he not sending out notification at all. Can't beat back Facebook when they decide to do their thing. So, I encourage everyone to go ahead and share the program right now. I know folks in Grenada gearing up for a big holiday tomorrow. Unfortunately, we don't have that celebration here in New York. So, I envy everyone in Grenada who is treating this as a Friday, because tonight is a big party, big event, and of course tomorrow is a big holiday, so it's a long, nice break. Yes? Lady, how you doing? Thank you. Guys, this program is brought to you with kind compliments of course, the Riders. Just before we start, I got to tell you about the Riders Brunch. We're having a brunch, guys, on the 12th. That's the day after the launch here in New York City. Want to see you guys there. So many people called me actually said, so wait, now you going to be oil long at the brunch? Hell yeah, you going to be oil long. It's called Oil Long and Things. Oil Long and Things. Yeah. Yeah. All the artists gonna be passing through at Oil Long and Things, Jed. Yeah. Right along lives are also brought to you with kind compliments of Instaprint. T-shirt printing, 2 locations, one in Grenada, one in New York. Instaprint, get your t-shirt printed in like about half an hour or less. Yeah. Also, Right Along Live is also brought to you with the kind compliments of For Such Time as This, a Midnight Cry. That's happening on Saturday, May 4th, 7 p.m. Of course, it's a pay-per-view event as well. For more information, you could contact 473-436-6892. I'll tell you more about this. These are some of the sponsors powering us up today. Yeah. Yeah. You'll be there, Lydia James. You'll be there. Nice. So we started a bit early, guys, because I wanted to take as much time as possible so you could get an opportunity to talk with the MP, Honorable Ron Redhead. So we ain't wasting no time. We ain't sticking. Who ain't catch the beginning, go back and watch it after. Honorable Ron Redhead, how you doing, my friend?
What's going on, Junior? Well, I'm just good. You see, I'm wearing my black shirt and black pants. It is to honor Nessie. Today, she was lateress, and it is to honor her as a good St. Andrew young woman. And she had an unfortunate situation, certainly at an event which she loved, which was Intercall.
Yeah.
She was repping her team.
Yeah, and funny thing is, I was not too far from where the incident happened. I was doing coverage, and I saw as the stretcher, they carried her out on the stretcher, and I was like, what is this? It's such an unfortunate situation.
Very much.
Condolences to the family. I know they're going through a lot. It's one thing if someone is sick for months and years and
Right.
they're in hospital, But the next thing to just go out and you get the news that your loved one has passed away. That have to be terribly difficult for the family to deal with.
It is, and I don't know anybody who could deal with that situation. Certainly how it occurred, but certainly as you mentioned, condolences to the family, and may they continue to be strong.
Yeah, absolutely. So how you been? How you been, man?
No, I've been excellent. I think I have less stress now, so I'm a bit more relaxed, and I've been good.
Yeah. Would you say that being an MP without a portfolio has really give you a good opportunity to more reconnect with your constituents?
Yes, and it provides you an opportunity to walk between the both worlds, so to speak. Because on one hand, you do not have a specific responsibility which constituents and the general public could tie you to. And then on the other hand, you have the opportunity now to still certainly sit at cabinet level, make decisions, interact with ministers, and lobby for your constituency full time. So it provides you with an excellent opportunity just to serve and serve directly as a member of parliament.
Yeah. Let's talk about your constituency, the Willis, the Boca, that whole area there. What has been happening in your area?
Well, a lot has been happening, particularly as it relates to smaller projects. We have been giving tremendous assistance to people directly, particularly small businesses. Our objective is that we would not be able to employ everybody, but at least if the private sector, and i.e. small businesses, so trader partnerships, if they can flourish, then we stand the chance of them being able to stand the test of times, be able to employ other people, and expand their little business into something productive. And the Northeast, in particular, the Boca area, has a tremendous history with businessmen coming from that area. I can think of the Dolans, I can think of the Purcells, I can think of a number of different people coming from that area and Northeast in general. So we are helping as much as we can. A lot of the young men who once would just be on the block sitting and so on, they want equipment, they want stuff to be able to start a business. We're giving them that, and hopefully they can blossom into something productive.
Yes, because I'm happy that we're starting on that on that note, small business, right? I was having this conversation the other day while I was in Grenada,
Yes.
and someone brought to my attention. They said, Junior, what really needs to happen? The administration really needs to focus on small business, entrepreneurship, because that is the pillar. Because what we see sometimes is that it looks as if there is a lot of focus on millionaire CBI investors who could come in and build big, massive hotels and big projects, and they be giving all these incentives and all of these different things. And sometimes the man who trying to start up a thing and may not have the resources, they're not even getting half of the incentives as some of those millionaires and billionaires. So the
Yes.
focus have to be on entrepreneurship. That is the pillar of any economic development, I believe. And
Yeah.
that person was sticking that in. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, no, you're totally correct. And it goes even beyond that because even when these investments do occur, the reality is the jobs that we are getting is certainly not at the scale and level to which can transform our own local citizens into millionaires. So by and large, we are often starting at the low grade and more than likely continuing for a long time at that low grade. Now, I must say that there has been a change in the thinking and approach to doing business like that. And we have some very prime examples over the years. KM Squared, for example,
Yeah.
is a company which recently opened its doors in the Northeast. I think that was publicized very well in terms of its opening and where we are right now. So it offers you an opportunity to start employment at a particular level. And once you are committed to your work, you have the opportunity to grow. So that's a message that we want to share with people that the government is not just here to give you the handout. You yourself have to be serious, you have to be productive, you have to understand what it will take to market your business and to get it up to the level and standard that it needs to be. But we certainly are willing to be able to provide that seed support and that beginning so that you could be able to take off.
Right. Yeah. How is the unemployment levels like in the Northeast? Tell us about
Right.
opportunities.
Um, by and large, you don't see the kinds of numbers that you used to see of large cores and sorts of young people unemployed and so on. Now, we did not do an individual survey at the Northeast, but I can tell you we definitely would have a decrease with the advent of KM Squared, particularly as it relates to young women going and taking up job. This is something that we've been clamoring for since 2022. And when we were satisfied that they did all the arrangements with the Dollans and to be able to acquire the property and
Right.
commence, we were able to sell this from day one. So I know of several young people, and in particular young women, taking up jobs there. The other thing which I see is somewhat of an independence creeping in by the young women. They want to start business, cooking, food, that kind of thing. So by and large, the trend is going well. As I said, we do not have a specific data, current data right now to show, but I can tell you that it is not at levels that it once was. We do have some concerns, largely with the probably the quality of jobs. And again, that speaks to the need to continue to improve access to education, which the government is doing. But by and large, the trend is going down for unemployment.
What about crime in the Northeast?
Yeah, crime in the Northeast generally um, is about where it normally would be. What I would say, it is steady, it's normal.
Right.
I don't see a proliferation too much of it, but what I do see is a lot of what I would consider, uh, especially at the one or two secondary schools or schools in general, the weapons, the weapons. That is a cause for concern for us in terms of young people having access to weapons and being able to move with it freely and want to move with it freely. But to say the general crime, it has been on a downward trend. I normally would pass around, play domino with young people, and generally everybody is good. But I think by and large, what we have to continue to maintain
Right.
is the need for us as leaders of communities, constituencies, etc., to say to the young people, a life of crime is going to spoil your future. And
Right.
that the more you can focus on positive energies and stuff, it will do better for you in the long run because you can't retire in the prison and you can't retire by just chilling on the block all day. You have to have something. If you have children to take care of, if you have family to build, you need something to be able to sustain you that at least you can go towards.
Right, right, right. One of the things that I think is an indicator to the reduction in crime is
Right.
visible sign of work, visible signs of programs that are geared towards taking the kids or the younger ones off the street, like basketball, games and those other stuff. Are
Right.
you working to increase the availability of playgrounds and other programs for young people in the
Yeah.
Northeast?
Yeah. So, for example, Lamode playing field, the restoration of that playing field has seen a tremendous. In fact, I went to the hospital one day visiting some constituents, and immediately I saw a Northeast man, and I say, "Well, boy, why you do the foot?" And he was very quick to say, "Boy, I damaged the foot up in the pasture." And I say, "What happened?" He said, "I kicked the ball." He said, "But if you didn't fix that pasture, I would not be able to kick the ball. I enjoying it nonetheless. I will get my foot will get better." So that is a young man who otherwise could be involved in some kind of negative activity, God forbid, and is more involved in something positive, got an injury, but is still positive about the whole situation. So that helps go well in terms of the basketball court. We are doing Vendom playing field. We are about to wrap that up. That is going well as well. We are ensuring that throughout the entire Northeast, all of the basketball and netball courts, we are going to get the upgrades with the fencing, the backboards, etc. And then we will resume, hopefully sometime in June, the Northeast basketball and netball tournaments. We are about to repair the lights. I have only today received the costing for the repairs of the lights up at Willis playing field. Combined Northerners Football Club in the Northeast expressed this concern to me, and certainly within a matter of 3 weeks, so we are able to solve this problem, and the situation should be resolved soon, where the playing field itself, the lights would not be cutting off anymore,
Right.
and you would get to have the hard coat lights turning on without any problem. So by and large, that is going to help to cultivate a more positive energy and
Right.
spirit throughout the community. Now, that is not going to stop the fact that you will have pockets of violence and that you will have young people who may resort to violence as a means of showing dominance and that kind of thing. But by and large, what we want to do is to be able to invest more in facilities like that, community centers, so that we can return positive energies and so on. I mean, young people want to have fun, but at
Right.
the end of the day, they want to be able to earn something. They want to be able to grow and take care of their families.
Yeah, what's the aim to capture these young people before they even start a life of crime? How do you capture them?
Yeah.
To
Well, it's a difficult question which I do not believe I would be able to answer in this one program.
Right,
However, what I would say is that even coming from the ministry and by and large looking at the national picture, getting data, having access to some of these data, and in terms of what they say contribute to
right,
that, it has to be the question of the environment to which young men and women grow up in. So,
right,
for example, poverty contributes to that, or where you have a situation in which you are residing with a single parent and the mother simply does not have the time, nor the energy, or even the capacity to be able to grow up 3 and 4 children. That normally contributes to them sliding into life of idleness, etc., etc. So that is what the data is showing. So how do you do that? How do you fix that? The thrust of the government to eradicate poverty, taking
right,
into consideration, Junior, that we're not going to be able to solve all of the elements of poverty or even the poverty situation,
mhm,
but tackling it head on, as I said in Parliament the other day, you either go hard or you go home.
Right.
Taking that bold step to say that we want to reduce poverty and end it completely, we have to fight towards that. So cleaning up the environment, having them grow up as young people, grow up in a more positive environment where they have access to running water, where they have reduced tuition fees or free tuition in this instance, and reduced education fees so that their parents or mother or father would be able to send them to school,
Right.
where the arrangement around their schooling is not so much of a noose to the parents' neck or the family's neck that they can be able to continue their education and that they can do it with a sense of peace and pride. That is something that we are fighting to eradicate and work towards fixing. So if we get better environments for young people to grow in, they normally would be able to perform even better.
Yeah, absolutely. I firmly believe. So, guys, we're chatting here with Honorable Ron Redhead. And this is not just my conversation, guys. This is your conversation as well. So we open up the phone lines early so you could call in, voice your concerns, and chat live here with the Honorable MP of Northeast, St. George Northeast. Let's talk about this actually what was going to be the first thing I spoke about, but it's now going to be the second thing, right? Because I'm hearing a lot about the gun amnesty, right?
Right.
And I even heard an interview earlier today with the opposition MP, Emmeline Peer. And she said this. Let's play it back and we'll comment on the other end. Check it out.
Society, we have major concerns, I believe, as a people, but all is not lost. We believe that if the government pull this back and involve everyone in pulling it back, we can see some progress there.
All right.
So the issue for us is not really about the amnesty particularly, right? It's a singular measure that could bear some results. Let's see what happens there. As a matter of fact, I believe one gun off the street is a success, in my opinion. Now, what we are most concerned about, and I want to particularly make mention to that, in the last sitting particularly, there was mention of what happens after the amnesty. So we know this is for 90 days. You turn your gun in, or you bring a gun in that you found, whatever it is, something in your possession, and you will not be required to explain where you got it, how you found it. That's the amnesty. Now, we found it rather strange that in addition to that, the government went on to make the point that after the 90 days, anyone found in possession of a firearm will not be granted bail. In other words, straight to Her Majesty's prison.
Right. So let's talk about that a bit. Is that even legal? First, tell us about the gun amnesty and put that into perspective for us.
Right. Now, first off, Junior, let me just say that the broader vision of this is that the government is embarking upon implementing its legislative agenda. Right. So time and time, you're going to see new bits of legislation coming to the parliament that is progressive, that is going to move our country forward, and that addresses, in some instances, the now and also long-term challenges that we have, and thinking of the bigger picture of Grenada Car Company. But in this particular instance, the gun amnesty, as mentioned, is only one element of us to fight the illegal gun trade. Second to that is the after. Now, the MP seem to want to go down on the trend of a non-genuine approach to this conversation. And I could openly accuse her of just simply playing politics. That's what it is. And attempting to try to muddy what the intent of this particular measure is. So in having the amnesty, it is to say that we are providing people with a peaceful opportunity to come in and give up illegal ammunition, guns, etc. Having said that, from the 1st of May until the 90 days have elapsed, after which there are some very tough measures that will unfold as it relates to the possession of an illegal firearm, which are already in place, mind you.
Right.
Now, the element and issue of whether a person is granted bail, again, let me just make this clear, that the legislator, which the members of parliament is a part of, passes the law. The people who get to adjudicate and judge on, or rather hand down judgments for the law, is the courts. And that is the judiciary. That is where the lawyers, the judges, etc., adjudicate on particular matters. We, the legislator, do not have a foot or a hand, so to speak, as a legislator in the judiciary. So therefore, we cannot dictate whether a person gets bail or not. That is for the courts to decide. That's one. Two, in addition to that, what we are saying is that we need stricter penalties as it relates to illegal guns on the streets. Now, what a member of parliament is arguing for seems to conflict with what she is saying opposition is. Because on one end, you think the government should pull it back, and on the other end, you support it. So, in my humble opinion, I didn't listen to the entire program, so therefore, I don't want to take the clip or comment that she made out of context. But in my humble opinion, you can't have your cake and eat it. That's the correct statement. We in Grenada say you can't have your cake and eat it. But you cannot want guns to be reduced, illegal guns on the streets to be reduced. No, and dealing with the situation urgently, as they have expressed in the past. And then at the same time, you're saying we have to wait. We have to get everybody involved. We have to make sure that this and so on. Yes, everybody could be involved, but you could certainly paint the bus while it is moving. This amnesty, as we mentioned, is not a means to an end with the illegal gun trade. The bigger issue is the guns coming into Grenada and its porous borders, wherever the guns are coming, whether it is through some of the beaches by way of ships or boats coming through Karakou, coming to Granans, etc., etc. No matter where it is coming, what we are saying is that these guns are not being manufactured in Grenada, and therefore we need to have a very stringent and tighter series of measures that could be able to reduce and hopefully eradicate some of the illegal guns on our streets that are killing our people and are killing other people as well. So I don't think that the MP is coming from a genuine place. That, in my view, just seems to want to stoke the doubts about the amnesty more than it tries to address the situation in its entirety, to say this is only one part of the measure that is required, and therefore we need others to be able to eradicate this problem. Because what she should be discussing is not to have less penalties. So for example, their argument is that you need to pay man for if you bring in a gun or give a money, a financial incentive and so on. But there are incentives. You're not going to be charged, you're not going to be taken to court, you could just hand in the gun. That's one incentive. But after that, certainly, Junior, we have to be serious. We have to crack down on this thing heavy.
Right. So what you're saying, and which I understood, because I'm thinking, how could you, as in from where you sit as a legislature, write any law that says that someone cannot get bail? Right? I'm thinking, and that's from a layman's perspective, that person would of course have a lawyer that would push for the best interest of the client, and then you have the DPP.
Definitely.
So that's a whole process.
So it's a process. And in other words, even if the law states that once you found with an illegal gun. Now, in law, Junior, while I am not a lawyer, you do not, it's open to interpretation in many instances, but you cannot pass a law to say, well, which is the opposition's argument. Junior is a good man, so we don't need to pass the law to say no bail because we don't expect Junior to have an illegal gun. It is not subjective in that manner. It doesn't operate in that manner. It captures the essence of when it has to cover a specific crime or instance where something illegal is going to occur. So by that statement, I'm saying that the law has to be generalized, not specific to say, well, there are good people in the mix, So you don't want to put them in jail without bail. That's for the lawyers to argue. If they are innocent and it's somebody that had this gun in their vehicle, the lawyers will argue that and they will be granted bail because therefore the gun is not their own and they have stated categorically, they have evidence, etc. They record something. So they could be able to argue that matter. But for the man who actually have the illegal gun and is walking around with it, to say that he wouldn't get bail and so on, you can't separate the law in that manner. It has to be generalized, and then it is subjected to a discussion, argument, etc. in the court, and you either win your case or you lose your case, or you have a mistrial in some instances.
Right, right. And that's clearly understood from my part.
Yeah.
It's a process, right?
Yeah.
But one of the things that she said that made sense to me was that there have to be other working, other things working at the same time. Like for instance, programs for young people, right?
Right.
Those programs need to capture them before they even commit a crime. They have to be active, like community centers, games, outdoor activities, jobs. All of those things need to work even prior to someone getting in, wanting to have a gun. Because if you have a good life, I mean, you have things to look forward to. You might have a little family, you're getting a little job, or whatever the case might be. Then you're less likely to have a gun and want to throw away your life, right?
And that's the point. But I'm saying, Junior, even in the instance where you are caught with an illegal gun unknown to your own information, let's say you give a man a ride, as they have said, as the MP said in the parliament, and the fella left a gun on your seat. Police stop you, they're doing a random search, and they see this gun. When they do the search, the gun illegal. It's after the amnesty. They're not just going to lock you up. You're subject to your lawyer and so on. So it's not a case where this law is outside the ambits of our constitution and it takes away from constitutional rights and so on, as some of them argue. In my humble opinion, as I mentioned earlier on, I don't think the argument from the opposition is a genuine one or coming from a genuine place, and is more than likely just being said to create the mischief and to attempt to try to cloud the judgment of what the government has announced as it relates to the amnesty, right? If they were genuine, even from day one, when we saw a slight uptick in crime, because generally Grenada is a peaceful territory, even when we saw this uptick in this gun crime and crime in general, what they ought to have done was to announce, they're the opposition, they have all freedom to announce their strategy publicly, put that out.
Right.
And then ask the government to come to a meeting. The Honorable Prime Minister is indeed a gentleman and speaks to everybody. I know him, right? You could criticize this man right in his face. He speaks to you politely and respectfully. And therefore, if it is something to help solve a problem in the nation or a national issue, the government of Grenada is open towards that. So the opposition does have a say, but they must not create this perception as if, well, what the government's response or reaction to the whole situation is not going to help. And they're not saying what is the alternative. Note that. So that's the danger with this thing. So in my humble opinion, I agree with her when she says that we need other measures, which the government did announce. The Security Council, which we announced through Honorable Prime Minister, we spoke about a number of other things in terms of the overhauling of the RGPF, but not overhauling to say it's only the police officers that not doing their work, etc. The conditions in which the police officers are living in, having to working,
Right.
is treacherous.
Yes.
And so I could speak of the St. Paul's police station, currently now being upgraded for the first time. I'm 32 years old. This is the first time I ever have seen any upgrades taking place at that police station. So there are a number of activities and measures that we need to improve the general response, to improve the general framework to which we target and reduce crime in Grenada.
Absolutely, absolutely. So again, I want you to give us a complete view on the amnesty, who will benefit from it, and what is the aim of the amnesty?
Right. The aim of the amnesty is to create the environment for people to peacefully and willingly handing illegal guns.
Right.
It seeks to reduce the proliferation of illegal guns on our streets. Just out there, in some instances, some people afraid. I have always heard talk of guns from the revolution and so on. So whether or not to bury them and where they stay in and so on, we have to see this as an opportunity for handing it in. You would not be prosecuted. Nobody's going to ask you your name. Um, there would not be any biometric testing on the guns. What there will be is ballistics on bullets, ammunition, etc., so to speak, rather. And that is the only thing that is going to be surrounding this. So
Right.
if you are an illegal gun holder, Junior, and you mean well for your country, you would hand in that gun, get it off the streets, help to do your part, and let's make Grenada a safer place.
Okay. And after that 9 months period has elapsed, what happens?
Well, I, I don't want to speak for the RGPF, but I would put it this way. After the 90 days elapse, stricter penalties would follow as it relates to people in possession of illegal firearms and ammunition on the streets. So I would say let us try to avoid any sort of instance where more guns are being acquired, illegal guns, because mind you, even before the amnesty, the RGPF up until now, Prime Minister gave the data. I don't have it with me right now. He gave it in Parliament. They have been getting illegal guns off the street.
Right.
So we are providing the seamless, peaceful opportunity for people to hand in those guns without prosecution. Simple as that. So after that, stricter penalties, and the RGPF is going to get their work done, because we cannot any longer continue to take a piecemeal, peaceful, or lapse approach towards illegal guns on the street.
When you say stricter penalties, do you mean that new legislation would be enacted, or
Yes, new legislation will be required, Junior, because some of it is dated. And I could give you an example, for example, in terms of the Mental Health Act.
right?
Since the 1800s, that's the nature of the act that we are using, and we are referring to mental illness or patients with mental illness as lunatics in that act. That is something that we have to change. So similar to that act are other acts which govern this specific issue,
Right.
and they are outdated. So we need upgrading some of them, we need amending some of them. That is really what this is about, or part of. So when we talk about this amnesty, we're also going to talk about addressing the gaps in the legislation and also programs, as you mentioned earlier.
Right. But still, the person is still considered is still innocent until proven.
Until proven guilty, simple.
Yeah.
It doesn't take away from, no, it does not take away from being able to argue your position in a court of law.
Right. Okay. And I think that needs to be solidified. That needs to be echoed.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
there is no legislation that could pass that could take away someone's right in that way to
Right.
to
Yeah.
not have a fair trial. You still
Yeah.
have
So when you hear somebody pundits say, "Oh, you're going to lock up people afterwards without bail and so on," it's not a case where you're spending the rest of your life in prison because you're found with an illegal gun. There's a process to your own judgment being
Right.
handed down to you as the individual who may have committed a crime or may not have committed crime. So it does not take away, Junior, again, and I want to make that point. It does not take away from the legal process,
Right.
which is required in a court of law to prove whether you are guilty or innocent. This amendment and any future amendments will not take that away. You have that right. You have a right to an attorney, you have a right to justice, etc. You have that right.
Absolutely. I think that I wanted to make that blatantly clear because after seeing the response from MP Emmeline Pear and her comment on the program earlier, people was like, what kind of overriding law could just take away people's right like that? But I'm happy that you echoed that here today on the program.
Definitely.
Yeah. Again, guys, we're speaking here with MP Ron Redhead and giving you an opportunity to call in as well. Dosia and give you a chance to call in. The phone lines are wide open. The number that you call 718-701-5720. Another very topical issue that was spoken about today is the question of minimum wage, right?
Right.
Minimum wage. The commercial administration decided to tackle the minimum wage. It is in place. It's been many, many years since that has been touched. Do you see a positive impact, and what type of impact would you think that would bring? I even heard the MP said that there are statistics that a lot of stores have been closing down because they have to increase, and a lot of not closing down, but firing a lot of people losing their job. Is that statistically correct?
No, so far I have not seen any direct correlation as a result with that. Now, mind you, we do have the hyperinflation globally, which
Right.
has affected a number of businesses. And therefore, whether people are paid higher wages or not, the impact generally is going to be positive. Because if you have a situation where unemployment is decreasing, it does not say that people are closing down, having to close down their businesses or fire workers because they can't. So, in other words, it doesn't make sense. That argument clearly doesn't make sense because the data, the official data which we have, suggests a different trend. It means more people are getting access to jobs, but in addition to that, with the new minimum wage, a group of workers now have an increase in their spending power as a result. And that is going to be able to do wonders for them. They will be able to purchase more in the economy, and we have greater economic activity. So it correlates better in terms of a positive impact with the trend currently from the World Bank, from the IMF, and all the data that has been out there.
Right, right. As someone said, dumb question, Junior. Of course, minimum wage is a positive thing, but the NNP must criticize it. No, but listen, another argument. Let me play devil's advocate to another argument here.
No problem.
If an employer now have to increase the salary of all his employees, his or her employees, right?
Yeah.
And the sales of goods are not picking up to maintain the amount of demand. Like he cannot make enough to pay his employees his rent and everything else. Wouldn't he have to make the decision, one, to get rid of a couple? If you have 5 employees, now we may think about getting rid of 2 and keeping 3. Or what is the other alternative?
Right. Well, first off, so yes, now in a simple way, you can easily argue that if you now have to pay higher wages and your sales or your turnover is not as great as they were and is actually declining,
Right.
you can easily argue that the first thing you will cut is wages.
Right.
Now, that's a basic argument. However, it could simply be a case of you needing to improve your marketing capacity. It could simply be a case, so rather than have 2 supervisors in one storeroom, you may just need to reorder, put one to bolster your marketing team, to have somebody now going outside of your compound, going and advertise, whatever it is. So there are different mechanisms as it relates to responding to a situation from a business. So it's not hard and fast. In other words, even before you get to the point where you have to let go a worker, there is something that you would see based on your balance sheet, etc. Whether you're doing a rolling budget for the month or an annual budget, you will be able to see some trends as a private sector business that you could say, well, okay, this is going to create this. So in other words, the minimum wage was not implemented today for tomorrow.
Right.
There was a process. And therefore, while businesses, after operating, may be able to encounter some hardship as a result, again, of the external factor of hyperinflation, where in terms of what they have to buy sometimes coming in, the general trend from the private sector would have been factored in what would happen. And therefore, they would have been able to give their input before it was implemented. So it wasn't a hard and fast decision from the administration to say, we improving the minimum wage, and it's that. That wasn't the case. As much as they try to say that's how we operate, But we did have dialogue with the private sector. The private sector representative spoke on the matter, and he did indicate that in some instances, when people do their balance sheets, etc., they would foresee some challenges. So what it required now was a restructuring of their own business and operation to be able to maintain maybe same staff and to be able to improve your sales, etc. So that is what is required. Now, I can't speak for all the businesses. So this is why I say I want to leave some room to say that maybe instances of that did occur, but this is not the national picture and impact or trend as a result of increasing the minimum.
All right, let's go to the phone lines. We got a caller on the line right now. Caller live, where are you calling us from?
Hi, Junior, and I'm calling from Boston.
Boston, go right ahead.
Junior, I have two questions for Mr. Redhead.
Yes.
My first question is, why wasn't it a buyback program, a gun buyback program? Meaning, if I have an illegal gun, I know I could sell it for $300. Why would I want to turn it in for free? My second question is, do you want to answer the first question and I ask the second one?
Sure, that's okay. Junior, if you permit me, I could just go ahead and quickly.
Yeah.
So right, I can just give my position very quickly to say that the reason why we do not want to do that is that the government should not be seen as the biggest buyers of illegal guns. What we are actually doing is empowering criminals to be more liquid in terms of access to cash and to be able to do a lot more illegal stuff. It's not going to change. And in Grenada, in the Caribbean in particular, giving the incentive, the data does not support that it is going to add any benefit in any great way to get the amount of guns off the street. But that's just one. And again, I don't want to dismiss the point that you are making, but it's to simply say that when the government conceptualized this amnesty, it was announced with the intention to have, or rather on the basis that we were already mounting operations to collect illegal guns. So it still may not even take away. Sorry?
Oh, okay, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Right. So it still may not take away from the RGPF going into a community during the amnesty and seizing a weapon, but just note that nobody would be charged in this instance. Or rather, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't want to argue the exact thing that will happen, but it does not take away from the police mounting an operation in a community. It doesn't mean that because you have the amnesty, peace, and a man could shoot his gun and so on, and whether he chooses to give it up or not, he could give it up. The fact is, if you discharge a harmful weapon like that, there are specific laws outside of the amnesty which governs that as well. And to the extent that it is illegal, you are then able to deal and treat with that in a normal legal framework. So in other words, what I'm saying is whether we have a buyback or we have the incentive of no criminal charges with the possession of illegal guns, it would not change what is normally going to happen where the RGPF in Grenada mounts its operation and could be able to acquire guns. So sometimes during the amnesty, you could get guns, but they are not directly related to people voluntarily coming in. The financial incentive may or may not help, but as government, you do not want to send the signal that you are going to take the taxpayers' monies and buy illegal guns, only to have a situation where when you take 10 off the street, 20 coming in, 40 coming in, and you can't stop that problem.
Akola, with your next question.
Okay, my next question is, so say I have a gun locked up somewhere and I travel for within that 3 month period. Right? So now I come back and I want to turn it in. Mm-hmm. Are you guys going to treat me the same way as if I was within that 90 days?
Right. I would not want to venture to say what would happen, but my own experience when dealing with amnesties or tax breaks, etc., is that once the time elapses, the measures or a particular measure that may have been in place to accommodate whatever was there also elapses. So I don't want to answer and say yes or no, but I would say it's highly likely that you would have to be charged under the normal. I mean, if you voluntarily bring it in, then
Yes, that's what I would.
discretion. Yeah, so, and if it's outside of the amnesty, then I assume discretion could be used, but I really wouldn't want to say what that situation is.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, caller.
Okay, thank you
We
so much.
appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Again, guys, we open up the phone line, giving you an opportunity to speak live here with Honorable MP Ron Redhead. We're taking your call, 718-701-5720. We're speaking about in general context. We're speaking about the gun amnesty. We're also speaking about the minimum wage. We have also yet to speak about the third topic, which is going to be the new bill, the amendment to this new bill that is creating a lot of controversy all over the island. We're going to touch on that shortly. Back to the phone lines. Caller, live, where are you calling us from?
Hi, Junior, calling from Canada.
Canada.
Good evening.
Canada, how are you doing? Good evening.
Good evening, Ron.
Hi, good evening.
First of all, I want to say that you guys doing a great job. I like how are you trying to take Grenada forward. And I have something to say, and it's really annoying that everything that the NDC tried to do for Grenada, try to take Grenada in a new place, NMP have to complain. If they are the opposition, I think they should come together and work with the NDC so that they could make Grenada a better place. It doesn't matter what NDC do, NMP have to complain, and it's really annoying. The thing that what upset me with NMP is the amnesty. If NMP did have it in the pipeline, they would have come out and say, "Oh, we had it in the pipeline because everything she do, NMP had it in the pipeline." So she vexed. But I think it's a very good thing that the Prime Minister said, bring the gun, amnesty, you're not going to get penalty. Illegal. Everything is illegal. And you have a charge for that? Weed is illegal. How many people is in the prison for illegal weed? For weed, right? So I don't understand what is NMP problem. They need to leave the young NDC, take Grenada forward, and do what they want to do in order to make Grenada a better place. And I think it's about time they stop complaining about everything that NDC do. They should join with the NDC and make Grenada a better place. For what I realize, NMP ministers don't like Grenada. They don't like Grenada people. So the more bad they could make Grenada look, they feel comfortable and happy about it. And they need to stop and go take a rest and let the NDC take Grenada forward. Thank you, Sonia.
Caller, before I have the Honorable Minister respond, right? Let me give you my perspective on it. I believe that an opposition is good, right? I don't want to make it seem as if, they don't have a right, because they do have a right. That's why they're there. They're there to look at things from a different perspective. Everyone cannot champion the government on everything that the government is doing. I think an opposition and a strong opposition make the administration even better. So I can't say, well, the opposition, they should just glorify and hail to the government. I think that the purpose is to look at it from a different perspective, make objections where objections should be made, and so the administration put their acts together. If they are failing in any way, they would step up. That's just my perspective on why an opposition is healthy for any country. Mr. MP Ron, you could respond.
Yeah, well, Junior, just to say to the caller, thanks very much for the commendations. Government, we are continuing to try our very best to be able to serve our country to the best of our ability. But outside of that, I join with the sentiment of ensuring that you have opposition. But I think what the caller is alluding to is deeper than just having the opposition. We need the opposition to genuinely debate issues.
Yes.
And not come with hearsay and propaganda and mischief and some of these things which are not helping us as a nation to achieve better. Sometimes the government could be wrong with a particular policy, and maybe it could cause problems down the road to the country. And therefore, it does not take away from the opposition from articulating information that is helpful to the benefit of our people. But when they start to go down the road of personal attacks and lies, misinformation, that, according to the man, that does piss me off. And personally, I think the opposition needs to do a lot more in terms of telling people what they did for the 23 and a half years that they were in office and they served Grenada. What was some of the things that they met? And if they see any trend now, for example, that this administration, the Deacon Mitchell-led administration, may be going, which they walked and they then saw. In other words, what the people need right now is information, Junior, and from both sides. I listen to the opposition just the same too. I sit and I listen to some of them, not all of them. I'm very clear on that. But some of the arguments that they make, I listen to the Honorable Peter David now and again when he gives his input in Parliament. I can follow one or two of them, but that's just about it. But I'm saying generally, the arguments are premised on KSA, them say things to try to just put out mischief rather than coming from a genuine place of discourse. It is not to help better anything sometimes, and they won't give it because they just want to be able to throw some on and go in a public meeting and say, well, they did do this and so on. So it's not genuine on their part. But I can't speak for the opposition, but I understand where the caller is coming from.
Right, thank you. And someone said to me, Junior, so why don't you invite the NNPMP? Again? I mean, gosh.
Well, Junior, maybe I could put out a public call.
Yes.
Rather than going and have a podcast, I want to say to the leader of the opposition, come out and speak. If you have a lot to say, because going in Trinidad and badmouthing your government and saying, well, they always setting thing when they know how to go out and so on. I mean, this thing was distasteful. Come out and clear your name. And clear the air on a number of different things. Talk about the oil and gas, not just go and sit on your programs. Talk about it. Because if you're able to do a podcast, he should be able to come and sit on your program. But I think by and large, he's not going to do that because he may be afraid, I don't know, to venture on some of these programs. But I think he needs to come on to the ride along.
Ride along for viewers are so nice. They're so friendly.
well, I and all will tune in just, yeah.
Let's go back to the phone line. Caller, you're live. Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Grenada. Stay so long on the line. I think right now I did.
Oh, Lord.
Anyway,
no, good,
good evening.
Good evening to you, sir.
Good evening.
Yes.
There's some misinformation on the Minimum Wage Act. Now, the minimum wage is supposed to be reviewed every 3 years.
Right.
And that was not done for 4 years. Right? So, since I think 2012 or 2011, that was the last time the Minimum Wage Act was reviewed.
Right.
Yeah.
People are thinking that, some people are thinking, and some people are giving the impression that the minimum wage is a salary increase across the board. And that is what causes a little confusion.
Right.
Now, there are certain categories of workers that didn't have to come up to the minimum wage at all.
Right.
And some of them that may have had to come up to the minimum wage might be an increase of $5 or $2. Right? If, however, the legislation was followed, maybe where we are today, I have to read the NDC government for this. There was a lot of consultation on the minimum wage with the key stakeholders, and they basically agreed that the minimum wage should be $60, right?
Yeah.
Or $1,200 a month. I think the biggest beneficiaries was in the area of the Imanis. I think that must have been the biggest beneficiaries that got. Now, if the Chamber of Commerce agreed for $60, and I'm assuming most of the business places are members of the Chamber of Commerce, they should be well aware of what would happen and how it would impact the business. One area, the transport industry, most of the bus conductors already earning just above the minimum wage. So it wouldn't impact them. It would be interesting to get the statistics to find out how many people in the numerous business places that are sending home people, how many people that were impacted. You know, that's
Correct.
that's my
Correct.
contribution.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, caller, for your
Yeah.
contribution.
Yeah, Junior, I must commend the caller, and I think he said it better than I did, that this did not happen in isolation, and therefore the argument to suggest that the minimum wage is across the board and everybody get a minimum wage increase is disingenuous and dishonest. And there's another lie, in my view, as to what impact this is honestly going to have on the economy. As he mentioned, this has to be reviewed I think it's a 3-year period, but I stand to be corrected.
Right.
So it has to be reviewed. So therefore, we are overdue for increases, not just a one-off increase. And therefore, at this juncture, every business place, once you're operating in a professional environment, you must be able to say, well, boy, this is the trend, and this is what we have to do. This will be the impact, etc. So dialogue did happen, and it was discussed before things happen. Now, mind you, there are some people who, let's say the Imani arrangement, for example,
Right.
government and private sector from the former administration entered into some kind of arrangement where they pay half and so on. So they may be impacted one way or the other, but it's not large scale because the public sector Imanis, they got the increase, but the private sector, we are still, as a government, working that through, and certainly the ministry could be able to comment on that in further detail.
Yeah,
That's it.
absolutely. I mean, listen, I started a business in Grenada, and right off the bat, I believe we had a policy that will pay our employees at least about 30 to 40% above the minimum wage.
Right.
Right. What I wanted to project was that I want to pay you so good, right?
Yeah.
That you see the value of your job. You come in
Right.
to work and you want to work and you would love your job because it won't feel like a job. For one, it would feel like you are in a place where it's a family, you are part of the whole process. And in addition, you won't steal from me because, because
Right. Because you're not in a vulnerable position.
exactly,
Right.
exactly.
You're able to earn something decent,
Exactly. So you will be comfortable. I mean, let me tell you. I mean, there was a little bit of rocky start. Let me put it like that. But that's
As it is with business, they
exactly.
always have the risk. Yeah.
Exactly. But I think it's incumbent on every employer to pay the employee well because it's a good projection of what they would bring to the table and how they would
And then you could have the argument with them, or rather discussion with them, to be able to be more productive because you're getting compensated properly, etc.
Exactly. Let's go back to the phone. We got another caller on the line. Caller, you're live. Where are you calling us from?
Well, it's Greens, of course.
Greens.
Yes. Pay them well, but they have to work well too.
Yeah.
Watch, Junior. We don't have opposition. What I seen there is not opposition. What I seen there is position. If they want to do things right, they have to put themselves in order. NNP, though, they're in order. They're not in order. So where's the opposition? So we need our opposition, yes, but get the house in order. Even though we don't see the house, okay, buy some blocks and build over the house. Don't stay there. People telling me Sherry George is speaking.
Yes, Auntie Sherry, I'm making a voice, man.
Don't come and tell me about we need an opposition. Yes, we need it, but where is it? Where is it? Well, I mean, somebody make me tell you and they say, well, Sherry, I vote for NDC. Me and my girlfriend vote for NDC. But it's true, they're throwing people out in the market. They will get voted out. I said, they will get voted by who?
Yeah.
Tell them, get themselves in order, and then we go see where we're going from here. But this is not an opposition, this is a position. So that don't make it no sense. We want a opposition that mean business. Keep them already here to that. Take it light.
Thank you, caller. Wow. All right, yeah. Sherry. Okay, Sherry. I don't think she gonna help me get my MPs.
Well, let me put out a pitch to the Honorable Peter David.
Hey,
should come on the program. And he should speak some opposition and so on. Let the nation hear, because the government is always open to progressive conversation in terms of the development of our country and debate.
Yeah.
And even Junior, I think we need to also reach to the point where the media is encouraging members of parliament to engage in debates.
Yeah.
Because
I push
I honestly support that. So from a MWAG standpoint, your standpoint, some of the other podcasters and so on, you team up, you organize a series of debates. We're talking on these very issues: gun amnesty, XYZ, and so on, things that are affecting people, the general economic situation, unemployment, talking about all these things so that the nation can hear and, in my view, separate who is up for games as opposed to who honestly wants to build this country. So I think we need that honest discourse.
Absolutely. And I told the MP, Peter David, I said, Peter, you're coming right along. I guarantee 100,000 views. 100,000 views. I'm telling you. No joke. Yeah, Peter. Peter, wait a one. Peter, gosh, give me a call, Peter. Do not call Peter. I know you're watching the call, Peter. You just don't want to answer. You just don't want to answer, Peter. On that note, right? We saw that, of course, Peter David is going to be the leader of the party. MP Emmeline Pearce said that she would go for leadership if there is a vacancy. But the doc is standing strong. It's sitting there very, very strong. What's your whole take on what's happening there? I mean, not necessarily you giving advice or anything, because they probably listen to what's going on.
I understand the question. This is politics. I can't speak for the opposition, but I could generally say and share my own views, which is simple. I think if the Honorable Peter David versus Honorable Emmeline Pearce scenario plays out, then the Honorable Peter David would win. That's my view. I'm not sitting in NNP. I don't have any intel to suggest that I know what is going on, but just looking from the outside, that's how I see it. And I think if the opposition leader runs, he would beat both of them hands down, because he have this hold on his party. Now, on the other hand, I think it leads to a bigger conversation about democracy in the country. Because it's one thing to say when you're in government, you're the most democratic, and you're this and you're that and so on. But charity begins at home. And as such, in that organization, it is very much a total opposite. And I can speak about my organization, ably led by the Honorable Deacon Mitchell. Democracy is alive and well in the NDC today, no more than it has ever been. Despite you hear little rumors and so on here and there, people have the freedom in the NDC to speak, to challenge. We are no longer going out on the streets and washing our dirty linens, which is a tremendous improvement. And we are providing that critical component to nation building, which is political stability. The opposition does not provide that right now. And therefore, as Sister Sherry mentioned, instead of trying to make the government look bad and spread lies and spread rumors and one day up people's personal business and talk all manner of things about people, which is just hearsay and they don't have any evidence of, what we should be doing is having national debates on national issues and let the public hear what our positions are on these matters, what the government is doing, what the opposition did, and what they claim that they want to do, etc. Let us hear that. Let's discuss about the oil and gas and these kinds of things. But I don't want to venture too much. I know you asked the question, so I told you that I doesn't run from the question. Right. I don't want to venture too much because that's not my business at the end of it.
You're sure right. I mean, listen, I totally agree in terms of democracy, because here's what we don't want. I am a very strong believer that an opposition is needed in any country. I hated 15-0 every time. I hated it, right?
Yeah, that was a bad thing.
That was bad for the country. And I don't want to see a one-party state. I don't want to see NDC as the sole, just have every single seat. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see it. If I see that happening, I might go and form another party.
Superflying Flint.
I don't want to see that. I don't like
but Junior, you could be raising a very important topic there, which we probably need to discuss the makeup and mechanism of our parliament. Probably we need the bicameral type of sitting where we deal not simply with first past the post, but proportional representation. Maybe again, that is a discussion that we could have, that to guarantee that we never again have a scenario where one party controls the resources of the state, as we did back to back, and on 3 occasions in the history of the country, 2 recently and 1 prior, but on 3 occasions where one party controlled all of the resources exclusively of the state. That is a dangerous thing, and it speaks to us, again, it goes back to my point. The law should not say, well, NDC is a good government, so even if they get 15 seats, we are nothing to worry about. We shouldn't operate like that.
Right.
We should always have the mechanisms of checks and balances so that the people could get the best out of our terms.
Absolutely. And the other day I had Michael Batiste on the program.
Right.
And he knows very well about what happened with GULP, right? GULP was Gary was GULP, right? And GULP died with Eric Matthew Gary, right? And what we're seeing, the construct of what we're seeing right now, if the party is not strong or if the party is not organized and democratic in certain instances, then it might be leading to something like the GULP, which I wouldn't like. We don't have a one-state party. I wouldn't like that. So I want everybody to get their act together. Let's see democracy in the country, democracy in the party. Let's have full democracy and have this where everybody have the right to contest the leader, whatever it is. If they come up with a strong representation and they win, they win. I think that should be how it should go. But who is me? Who is me to say? They didn't even come.
It seems like that party needs some transformation, man.
They didn't even come in.
I'm just teasing. I
wanna digress. I wanna move a little bit into another quick topic. Right. This topic is about the new amendment to this bill. Right, about communication. Now, this is what the Honorable Eminent Pierce said on the program earlier today. We put it in context and comment on the other side. Listen in.
And involve everyone in pulling it back, we can see some progress there. Right. So the issue for us is not really about the amnesty particularly, right? It's a
all right, that's the wrong clip. Let me get the right clip. Let me see.
Referring to the electronic communications bill,
electronic communication bill. Let me see. I think that's it. Let's see.
That's our belief. That is deliberately placed there to ensure that other people outside of the major companies that we refer to, right, the major players, that they can be roped into this legislation. And we called upon the government to be specific, to be clearer, to ensure that there's a consultation with these people. And to date, we are not satisfied with what we have seen from the government side.
Right. So the allegation is that this bill would capture a certain sector of broadcasters, right, that could then be somehow challenged not to do what they're doing on a regular basis. Like, for instance, it seemed like it speaks to what I am doing, right? And what broadcasters like myself is doing, not really governed by the NTRC. We're not transmitting.
Right.
Does this amendment gear to affect podcasters and broadcasters like myself?
Clearly, she doesn't know what she's saying. Now, Junior, presently, if you are a podcaster, but you are transmitting, or rather, you have a feed going onto a radio station.
Right.
And let's say you are saying certain things. For example, there is the law which deals with that specific issue. I don't recall the name of it from the top of my head, but we could easily get that, right? So you have the Electronic Crimes Act, etc. You have specific laws which already deals with those elements. And particular, you don't expect to be broadcasting something of a podcast onto a radio station and saying all manner of things of people, and the radio station to which you are using would not be called into disrepute, etc., etc. So
Right.
that is how it's going to work. It's not going to affect the podcaster. It is the radio station, which is under the ambits of the law,
Right.
that will be impacted. That's the first thing. Second to that is that there, as mentioned, are certain legislations which governs what you could say about people, etc., etc. And then to my own annoyance, again, the Electronic Crimes Bill, which was passed by the New National Party, it was objected to by the National Democratic Congress, I could recall. We had several discussions and debates on this matter, but it was passed nonetheless. And to date, I have not heard anybody coming out to say, well, this is against their rights and all these other things. So again, majority of the times, these things are just hysteria, and we must be bold-faced enough to say when it's not going to interfere. So this is something, in my view, out of the guilt of some of the opposition forces, in my humble opinion, who know that they are engaging a borderline on lies, misinformation, hearsay, and things just to be putting out there. I listen to a number of the programs that they offer, and it's just hogwash, honestly. Majority of the times, none of these things are true. And I could recall, for example, this whole element of ISIS being in Grenada, right? Where the leader of the opposition, again, hearsay, somebody call him and tell him. These are the things that are being put out there. And I'm saying that what any legislation like that will seek to do is to say to the broadcaster, not the podcaster, but the person who operates under the ambits of the law, that, and not this specific legislation, what legislations of that nature, because there's a suite of them. What it will do is to say you have guidelines, how to perform, how to operate, etc. This one particularly deals with the element of fairness, etc. And it tries to factor in modernized technology. The old one speaks to telecommunication, telephone, that kind of setup, you know, them old school telephone and so on. That's the kind of framework. Again, this is another legislation which was governing countries like Grenada and other CARICOM states for years, but needed to be upgraded. So this is what this is about. It has nothing to do with trying to attack a podcaster and so on. I mean, come on. It doesn't have, again, goes back to the point. You're only guilty until proven. And therefore, you have your day in court where you can argue your case. So this is not a question where man could just pass a law and tell you you have to pay $30,000. You have to be proven guilty or in breach of that said law.
Interesting. Let's take this call. I got another question on it. Caller, live, where are you calling us from?
Good afternoon to your guest, Ron Redhead. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to your listener. I'm calling from Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn, New York. Go right ahead.
On the question of having accurate and truthful information, that is really needed in Grenada. But as it space, it would be filled with some form of air. And if the present government is not providing information prior to the fact, they seem to be tardy in providing information after the fact, then other information would occupy the space and the minds of people. And I think the present government needs to be aware of that. And it seems that in some cases within Grenada, things are treated as though it's a secret society. So even some of the people who should know certain things, there are people who don't share it. They keep it close to their chest. I don't know if they'll go to the grave with it and you'll help them go to heaven. But that is something that needs to be corrected by the government. And it's time that we become proactive. And not after a fire we run into the...
Hello? All right, we lost that caller.
Yeah, but so just to say to the caller, so point noted, government is doing its utmost best to be able to update the nation in terms of what we're doing. Prime Minister went to Cuba, he went to other territories, other ministers went, they updated the nation as to what happened, what occurred. I think too, there's an element of mischief in all of this. Somebody always trying to be what you call the we are breaking news and so on people and government and so on. This whole narrative that, you know, government is a secret society and therefore we need to expose them because they're against the people and so on and so forth. That is the kind of narrative that, in some instances, this present administration is dealing with, where people seem to want to put out information to be able to paint a particular picture or give it to our opposition force so that they could share it and make the case to say, well, you see, they're wicked. But the context to which a decision is being made, in most cases, government cannot operate without first having the relevant authority, decision departments, whomever, doing the necessary stuff first before something is done. Now, you could make a policy announcement. That is different, which this government does. And we openly said so. We said we're going to pay by monthly, we did. We said we're going to pay the pension, we did. The process to getting there is where the challenge is. And in some instances, when you don't make the policy statement because you're still going through its economic or legal impact, etc., you may have people with the mischief, they see a file and they're just taking that and they're spreading that. So in some instances, things get out there or things occur without departments talking to one another. So that helps to create the gap. In most instances, as a minister, unless you are not micromanaging and have a strong handle on your ministry, you may not be able to know all of the things that happen. So I could take, for example, an issue about a hump being installed in a particular area and people calling for it to be removed. That, again, is a process. The individual minister would not be able to stop that from occurring because it is made at a lower level with either the engineers or whomever. But if they don't consult, it then creates a political problem and people have a right to come out and speak. The government is not opposed to them expressing concerns and being able to address it. But the element of being proactive, we have demonstrated, Caller, by and large in a number of areas, whether it is by monthly payments, whether it is pension, we have demonstrated that level of proactiveness in informing the nation, one, and treating with instances where we may have issues.
All right. Caller, you still there?
I'm still here.
Okay, we have another call on the line. All right, caller, yes. Where you calling us from, caller?
I'm calling from Grenada.
Grenada, go right ahead.
Okay, so I want to say good evening to you and the MP.
Yes.
And I also want to say thanks to the MP for his humility, his love for country, because what I notice is that he listens to the people and he tries to implement the needs of the people, what their requests would be. I want to also thank him for changing the face of the carnage. And I want to say that we notice that it's a custom with politicians that they just oppose for opposing's sake. But I must say, if we have love for country, when the ruling party is implementing something or trying to eradicate something that is bad, we should support. I also want to suggest that from the primary school level, if the Ministry of Education can add some more skill program from the primary school level, things like music and sewing, first aid, things like that, would add some skills to our children so that they wouldn't have as much time on their hand to break away. Also, if we can bring back the sports in school from primary school level, whereby schools can challenge, this school can challenge the other school in the next community at a competition level, at a friendly competition level, all these things would hold interest in the young people. Yeah. Also, the last point is, please, Honorable, we need some persons to do some interventions with the gang. With the gang. With the gangs,
but
you know.
Caller, on the participation amongst the schools, I didn't see that didn't go away. That's there. Primary school sports, there's been a lot of competition.
But I'm just talking about that.
No, go ahead.
I'm
Finish
not
up.
just talking about meeting for track and field. I'm talking about the netballs and the footballs and things like that, starting with primary school and moving on to the secondary schools. And I think it would help. Young people would have something to look forward to. They would be too busy to get involved in other things. You may have one or two slipping away.
Right.
Okay. And in terms of the young men that carrying the guns and so, and with the gangs and so, if an intervention can take place and you can listen to them and try to do some reform and to get them involved and be skilled in activities and so, it might take away a few from the misconduct.
All right. Thank you, caller. I appreciate
that
you.
we're observing now.
All right. Thank you so much.
you.
Thank you. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Well, let me just thank the caller, Junior, for what I think is, again, another solid presentation in terms of the ideas of the people. Now, I don't want to speak for the minister responsible for education, and definitely he's able to speak for himself. If you know Senator David Andrew, he's on the ball where that is concerned. But I remember or could recall very recently, we did have a conversation, and the issue with adding more to the curriculum, it is already oversaturated. Now, the reform that this administration is doing is hopefully going to address some of that, where we are going to introduce, for example, what is called maybe edutainment or education/culture, where we are going to introduce different elements now that could be able, as she mentioned, in terms of CPR, do something that is a bit more interesting and is more diverse so that the young people have a wide array of things to choose from. But this is why it is critical, because the education system could only take so much, because school hours are for a particular time in the day. Yeah. And therefore, unless you have night school, you can't honestly put some of these things in. But this is where the community developmental programs comes in. You need a stronger community. And that's why I often say to people, it doesn't make sense that you are boasting that you have 2 degrees in this, 2 degrees in that, and so on, and you're making your money, and you're not giving back. Right. So we need the community now to be involved in teaching. They could easily write to the government of Grenada. They could write to the cabinet of Grenada, indicating that you are kindly asking cabinet ministers, members of parliament, whomever, to look at these proposals as to how they want to teach something in the community, whatever it is, right? Whether it's a skill, let's say Spanish throughout Grenada, because we are borderline with Spanish speaking territories or foreign language, right? So there is a process again to do these things. Again, part of the problem is not instant coffee. And good ideas, Junior, take a very long time to surface. Right. So it requires champions. It requires people to say, I want to help with this. This is my proposal. And when they bring these proposals, it requires the government's own capacity to be able to listen. You can't give it to a junior worker because chances are it may stay on their desk. Mm-hmm. You need to be able to hand it to the cabinet of Grenada, the prime minister, the ministers directly impacted, so that they can look at it, reach out, talk. That is what we need. We need the community to be able to take up some of these slack.
Absolutely. Listen to you in the hot chat today. Another call on the line. Call live, where you calling us from?
Hi, good evening, Junior. I was trying to resist calling, right? But when I heard the call on the previous gentleman call, I couldn't avoid. But first, I'd like to compliment Minister Ron. It's from he has been in the Ministry of Youth and more so sports and culture. I really admired his work ethic based on where I'm sitting. You know, I also admire his love for constituency, even after everything would have happened and all of the accusations and all of that. He stood strong, and I love that. He's back broad in confidence and he take on matters head on, like Mr. here. But basically, one little suggestion I'd like to make for him on the constituency level, because I see a lot of development, but I'm not sure if there are adult literacy programs. I'd like to see some more educational programs on an adult level happening in the constituency. So, for example, the young men, maybe let's get a group of 10 and, let's have some people teach them how to do like maybe basic reading or how to use a computer, stuff like that. And then just lastly, with regards to what the caller said a while ago, in silencing the naysayers, I do agree that sometimes we can be a little bit slow with the information. And while I understand that some things is a process for the information to come out, maybe we need an office where, like, okay, for example, with the passport, for example, okay, we said that we're moving to the 10 years, great. But then it's a process. But then you have some individuals who are mischievous, and then they will go to the office, don't get the 10 years yet, and then they say the government lied. Maybe if we have an office where someone can come out and say, okay, we're working on these stuff, but it's a process, so just give us some time, just to silence the noise, because the noise is loud. But otherwise, you're doing an excellent, excellent, excellent job, and you have my support.
Thank you, caller, and we're trying all this.
Yeah.
Very good suggestion, though, about the office to deal with information. Very good suggestion.
All right. Wow, we over time already. Look at it. You know, one thing I have to commend you on, Honorable Redhead. You take the time to sit on this platform, even when we go over time. And I know you're itching because you have a lot of other things to do. But you're here and you're taking calls and you are talking to your constituents, because there are a lot of people here from your Willis area. In fact, my producer, she's from Willis. Right, and she rounded up everybody from Northeast to watch. And they're here and they're posing their question, and you taking your time to do that, and I really appreciate that.
No, but it's very, very important, Junior. And thanks very much for the commendation. But what we really need to continue doing as politicians is to listen. We don't have all the answers for every particular instance or issue that arise, and sometimes we get carried away because it's easy to sit in our office to say, you know everything. I am the minister. I make the decision, etc. But sometimes, too often, we ignore why we have to make this decision. It is for people, and it impacts people's lives and their livelihood. And therefore, the most important element of a politician is to listen to the people. But listening to the people, not to say that you have a situation where, in a sense, a tail wagging a dog, but you're listening because you want to solve or resolve problems. Not because you want to fight them, not because you want to tell them, well, thing X, Y, and Z, but because you want to solve problems. And I often try to say to constituents, I'm a very cool person, but my objective is to bring solutions. There are people who time and time again will make arguments and so on, whether it is true, real, or imagined. I wouldn't spend my time venturing into that. I think what we need to do is collaborate more so we can bring benefits to people, because that is the objective at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And we appreciate you here on the ride, making your time to do that. I remember going into the election, I called I ain't gonna call the person name, but I called him and I said, let me just come on, let me humanize you a bit. Let's just have this conversation. And he declined. I don't know why. I think that taking this opportunity to sit here, and I'm sure by the time this program finishes, you're going to have 10, 15, 20,000 people that watch this program. That's a lot of people that see and know that you are for the people, not just for the politics and the back and forth. And you understand that politics is all about addition, not subtraction and division. Some people, they went and create a whole Facebook group to divisively attack people. That's subtraction. You need to add to your base. And that's why I invite people, and I don't know why they didn't take me on. I'm not a terrible guy to deal with. I just really want to have a conversation. So I'm putting it out there again. Peter, Emlyn, whoever. The other one up in Northeast, probably he ain't gonna come because he's not my friend anymore. But anyway.
Junior, invite them, because I'm saying it would be nice to have a government representative and an opposition representative.
All the time.
We have a cordial discussion. And let me tell you this. Your show, whenever, I could recall, I can't recall the name of the person, but the prophetess or whoever it was, and you invited the former pastor. And I'm not just laughing or teasing that, but you see, people like to hear different views sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one thing if you have a government representative, you expect me to talk about government. But it would be nice to hear live at the same time different views, rather than going and wait until you strategize or you come up with this mischief and so on. But let's debate, let's discuss, and we can do these things casually.
The problem is everybody wants to build platforms. Everybody wants to build platforms so they can sit on their platform and talk to their people all the time.
Yeah.
That makes no
Yeah.
sense,
That
right?
makes absolutely no sense.
We have a platform that was built and created
For a long time.
10 years in the making. You know what I mean? We have it here. We have a diverse group of people. Everybody wants to build a platform so they can talk to the 10 and 15 people. And when you add up the numbers and, you know what I mean, the numbers and numbers in. But still they want to build a platform. Come on.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you're not making a case against the podcast, you know.
Nah, I love it.
No.
The video I did of it, it was funny. I welcome that. I love that.
Well, I'm still waiting on it. I hope it doesn't pan out like oil and gas. I'm still waiting.
They're going to use that as a clip. Trust me. I can see myself on. They're going to use that as a clip. Anyway, let me not make no more problems, eh?
I'm just teasing that. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Honorable Ron Redhead. We appreciate you. Keep doing your thing, all right?
All right, man.
All right, thank you so much. Right along live. All you gonna get me in trouble. All you gonna get me in trouble. Oh boy. Listen, let me tell you quickly, guys. It's Mother's Day coming up. Do you love your mother? Do you love your mother? If you love your mother, I have something nice for you guys. You know Ride excursions and tours. We have something for the mothers. Where's that mother's flyer? Booyah! Right here. So here's that now. Something different. You can't give your mother every year, give her the same rose, right? This is something different for you to spend quality time with your mother. Get this. Take her on a ride. Yeah. Now we have this really nice trail, guys. It's an easy trail. It's a really, really nice trail. It's Manhattan, and then you ride through Manhattan, and you end up in the back of Lansapine there, and there's a great lookout spot. When you go there, it's like you're seeing the whole of Grenada. It's really, really, really good. So we're inviting you to take your mom out to a ride. This is Mama, I Love You, the ride. Sunday, May 12th, Grenada. Now, if you want to take your mother out on this beautiful ride, say, Mama, I love you. And listen, we're providing refreshments and an opportunity to spend some quality time with your mother. It's something different. I bet you never did that for your mother before. She could be like, I love you too. It's different. I love that. If you want to book and take your mom on this really amazing ride, call Riders at 473-422-1011 and book Mama, I Love You. Yeah. Ride. Let's ride. Guys, also, let me tell you this. If you're looking for t-shirt printing and more, like, listen, this Instaprint, people, you go to Instaprint to print your t-shirt in 20 to 30 minutes, guys. You get your t-shirt printed. They got two locations, in Grenada and in New York. In Grenada, you can call 473-422-1011. And listen, get this. They're right inside the Esplanade Mall. Right inside. In fact, they're partnering with Ride, inside of Ride, to bring this service to you. So if you want a t-shirt printed, and they got blank t-shirts as well. They got blank t-shirt, the polo. They have everything. Go check them out. Get your t-shirt printed at Ride, inside the Esplanade Mall. And of course, Ride. I can't stop talking about Ride, guys. But you know Ride, this Sunday again, back out on the road. Book your excursion with Ride or rent a ride. Of course, guys, for such a time as this presents the Midnight Cry. That's on Saturday, May 4th. 7 p.m., admission only $50. It's a play. Gateway Assembly Conference Center. Yeah? Tickets sold at Gittins Pharmacy St. George, Gittins Healthcare Pharmacy Grand Anse. Or you can call 473-536-6892. Scan that code right there, guys. There's also going to be a pay-per-view link that we're going to tell you guys more about. Get this. For such a time like this, I'm telling you. Hey, big up to the NLA, the National Lotteries Authority, for sponsoring Right Along Live.
You call me to it's the level, high the level, raise the level, up it.
What if you had a choice? A choice of joining a line or a choice of making your purchases online? What would you choose? While you ponder on that, the National Lotteries Authority has provided another purchasing option. All their games are now available online. Yes, Grenadians! From wherever you are, purchase your favorite daily and jackpot type games using any electronic device. Register on the NLA's website at www.nla.gd. Top up your account and enjoy online lottery gaming at your convenience. We're taking shopping comfort up, up, up several notches. But the choice is yours. Join a line or buy online. NLA, make your dreams come true.
On Saturday, May 4th, there will be a shift on the island as the biggest grilling fest in Grenada moves to the big parish. The Maggie King of the Grill competition is at Progress Park, St. Andrew. Come taste the most sumptuous creations from the grill as top chefs and food enthusiasts showcase their culinary skills. Maggie King of the Grill is a festival like no other with live soca music, fun attractions, and games for the entire family. Then from 6 p.m., get a chance to win up to $5,000 cash in bingo. Interested vendors and grillers should call 456-3454 to register. It's the Maggie King of the Grill competition at Progress Park, St. Andrew. Gates open from 12 noon. Bring your appetite and stay tuned to this station for more details.
Maggie King of the Grill is made possible by Bryden and Miners, Hunt's, the official barbecue sauce of King of the Grill, Rubis.
Now, are you ready for an exhilarating adventure? Then look no further than Ride Excursions and Tours. Get ready to explore the great outdoors like never before with our powerful e-bikes. Discover breathtaking sightseeing tours around the island. Feel the wind in your hair and experience nature in its purest form. Now, whether you're a seasoned rider or a beginner, our e-bikes are perfect for everyone. Call us at 473-422-1011 to book your excursion or visit ridersebikes.com. That's ridersebike.com to reserve your spot. Unleash your adventurous spirit with Ride Excursions and Tours, where every journey becomes an unforgettable adventure.
Yeah. I want to tell you guys about. I want you guys to check out this website right here, right? Let me put it up here. It's travelcaribinc.com. Let me tell you a little bit about travelcaribinc.com. Let me see if I can put a graphic up on the screen. Now, travelcaribinc.com is a brand new website that was just set up, guys. And it's a let me get the graphic. Let me get the graphic up. It's a black-owned business, and they are providing services for everyone who is taking a vacation. Hold on, let me pull up that graphic right there. It's coming up, it's coming up, it's coming up. There we go. All right, let me give them a plug. Because I like what they're doing. So, travelcaribinc.com. If you go to this website right now, guys, you're going to see a lot of different things. Travelcaribinc.com. Anything that you need, everything that you need, when you're taking a vacation, you could find it at travelcaribinc.com. They somehow integrate their whole process with Amazon, right? So you go to Travel Carib Inc. There are so many different things and items and features there. You click on it, and it takes you directly to that product with, of course, a better rate than what you're getting on Amazon. It goes to Amazon with a discount code. So it's a really great idea, guys. So check them out. It's travelcaribinc.com. Check it out. You got to promote and support each other. travelcaribinc.com. Write it down. Yeah, travelcaribinc.com. Check it out. It's amazing. Yeah, soon becoming my new favorite website because you guys know I travel a lot. I eat on a lot of suitcase. And you know the pillow that go behind your neck, I need that too. You know the little fan thing. Everything that you need for vacation is there. It's amazing. TravelCaribInc.com. Stick it on your fridge. Yeah, man. Guys, we can't tell you enough about the big launch. The big launch. Spice Mass New York launch. Saturday, May 11th at Elton Place, 1130 Linwood Street, Brooklyn, New York. It's going to be a zoovie up in here. I told you guys about the brunch, right? The brunch is going to be amazing. Yeah, the brunch. The brunch. Riders brunch. Lynn! We go have a time. That's the day after that's the day right after the launch here in New York. So all the artists will be there. It's called Oil Long and Things. Yeah, Oil Long and Things. Check it out. And you guys could pre-order, yeah? You could pre-order your brunch, yeah? Give it a link for that. May 12th, Brooklyn, New York. Yeah, man. Guys, on behalf of all of our production team here at Ride Along Live, we say thank you so much. We love you. We love everybody, all right? Don't let nobody tell you anything different. We love you. On behalf of my producer, call her my boss, Lois JJ, thank you so much. And the team, Kibbs, Gail, and the whole production team here at Ride Along Live, we say good night. Thank you for watching. Catch you guys again tomorrow. Mañana. Peace out, everybody. Don't forget it pays to advertise on Ride Along Live.
Advertise with us and reach millions daily, weekly, monthly. Yeah, over 10 million per month. It pays to advertise with us. Reach more and let us send your business viral. Advertise with us and reach more.